Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, everybody. Good evening. On behalf of the Glenelg Shire, I wish to respectfully acknowledge the traditional lands and waters of the Gunditjmara people and their respective cultural heritages. I acknowledge the elders past and present here at today's gathering and through them to all Aboriginal people. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people provide an important contribution to Australia's cultural heritage and identity. We respectfully acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait community living throughout the Glenelg Shire and the contribution that they make to the Glenelg Shire's prosperity and well-being. The recording of meetings. To those present in the gallery today, by attending this public meeting of the Council, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published at Council meetings that may be live streamed, and the Chief Executive Officer will enable a copy of the recording to the public. Apologies for this evening. Mr. Brett Jackson. Thank you. Councillors, we have confirmation of the minutes is next. Is there anybody prepared? Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the motion that the minutes of the Council meeting held on the 28th of July 2026 as circulated be confirmed.
Thank you. As a seconder, please. Councillor Angelino. Any commentary
No, thanks,
or questions?
No, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Angelino? No,
thanks,
you're right. Okay, the motion has been put by Councillor McDonald and second by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. We'll move on to 5.2, which is the record of councillor briefings. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the motion that the Council receives the record of the councillor briefing held on the 28th of July 2026, the 11th of August 2026 and the 18th of August 2026.
Thank you. Councillor Jowett.
Second.
A second. Thank you. Any comments, Councillor McDonald?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Jowett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is an item that could be easily glossed over, but these councillor briefings play a vital function in keeping us councillors up to date with what is happening in our shire. And what we cover in these briefings is wide-ranging and is listed in the attachments. But just to pull a few important items out of here, the FOGO report on waste charges, gymnastics project update, Hooked on Portland, what's happening with that. I mean, they can be as important as those things or as simple as what's happening with our dog bags down on our foreshore. Anybody that's interested, I highly recommend that you look at these. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jowett. I'll put the motion that was moved by Councillor McDonald and... Oh, sorry, Councillor Carr. Sorry.
No, look, there's a couple of missing items, councillor items. I've been consistently raising the round ball facility for the last two meetings. I was just wondering if that could be picked up, please.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, councillors. The motion was put by Councillor McDonald and second by Councillor Jowett. Those in favour? It's carried. Councillors, item number 6. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interest this evening? CEO.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I have a conflict of interest in relation to 9.1 as it relates to my employment remuneration.
Thank you. Anything else, councillors? No? Managers? No? Thank you. We'll move on. We'll move on to councillor activity reports. Councillor Jowett, as Deputy Mayor, can you please start?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, it was another busy month for myself. The few items that I'd like to explain in a bit more detail was the Ron Penrose exhibition opening, which I'm sure other councillors will mention, that I had the opportunity of attending that. The artwork was first rate. I was quite pleased with how the evening went. And the National Tree Day, which was out at Yarraman Park, I'm looking forward to this happening in expanded sites across our shire next year, with any luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to talk about the NAIDOC Week exhibition. It launched a month-long NAIDOC Week exhibition that was organised by Duat Wurrong Community Service at the Julie Street Creative Space. It was blessed with an incredible morning of weather where they held a welcome ceremony outside. Hundreds gathered for the traditional welcome, a morning tea, live music and an inspiring exhibition of paintings and three-dimensional works where viewers were invited to add coloured ribbons to the rainbow serpent that was hanging from the ceiling. So that was a fabulous month-long exhibition and a great partnership. The Ron Penrose exhibition, the collection of portraits was incredibly well executed. Notable Shire identities, community identities from CES, Kelpie members, our mayor, beautiful portraits, and they're actually still on exhibition down at the PAC Centre, I think until the end of this week. And there was also an amazing opportunity for local artists to go and actually have a lesson with Ron in terms of using a palette knife to actually create those portraits. So that was really well received by a lot of members that I spoke to. The announcement by Jacinta Emakora MP for Western Victoria of the completion of the 2-year versification fund projects and the Future Fibre Hardwood Timber Manufacturing Hub feasibility study and the Future Portland Cumulative Impact Dashboard was a highlight for us during the month. The other thing that I attended, which I'm not sure anybody else will have on their list, is the Healthy Ageing Hub Community Program launch. And what it is, it's a go-to service offering guidance to relevant services and community groups. So they're not offering a service themselves, but they're offering guidance to the existing community groups and services to prepare 50-plus-year-olds and 45-plus First Nations residents for the next stage of living well. The hub aims to help us, yes, my demographic, including others above my demographic, to navigate the complexities of existing services and supportive community groups to keep us active, healthy and heard as we face the challenges of what ageing brings. Through a partnership with Kaima, the hub will provide dedicated staff which are accessible locally throughout the week, which is an amazing service. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Pepper.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to mention that I went to the Marina Digby Lions changeover dinner. Now, that was an extremely well-attended event. There was a new president elected there, in Rob Elkins. It's like these Lions people, they support each other. Like the table from Casterton, Nelson, Hayward, they all go to each other's changeover dinners, and it's a great night. So I enjoyed myself there, and that was very good. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pepper. Councillor Carr.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I think the highlight for me was we come here and we heard about the Timber Hub feasibility study and the proposed $200 million facility, 150 odd jobs during construction and 74 permanent jobs, And that's progressing well and will be built right here in Portland and use the blue gum hardwood timber that's grown in the Green Triangle. So fantastic to attend that event.
What else did you do for the month?
I had a few weeks leave and went to Cape York, but that's not council. It's not a council day.
So what were the roads like?
They're but our roads were our main roads, state roads.
Arterial roads, yeah.
Arterial roads are the worst. They're worse than country New South Wales and they're worse than regional Queensland until you get to about Reba, and then their roads get worse than ours.
That's not a freight route though, is it? No. Okay, good to have you back. Councillor Angelino.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I also attended the Ron Penrose exhibition at the PAC, and it was a great night. There was, as we said, other councillors have mentioned, there was so many different people from all through the Shire that had been nominated, and their pictures and their family. It's fair for people to go and have a look at it, and it's a great A great night was shared. The Timber Hub has also been spoken about, but it's a great development for the Shire and development for the future. So, yeah, that's all. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Angelina. Councillor Pickard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I don't have anything new, but I also attended the Timber Hub feasibility study media event, and I was really pleased to learn about the innovation in the use of the local timber products. So that was really, really good. And I also attended the Healthy Ageing Hub community program launched by Consumer Support Services, which, as Robin said, is a very important service with our ageing population. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Councillors, obviously I attended a number of these, and whilst there's a number of really important announcements there with the timber and the future Portland, I think that, you know, let's not forget that we've also had this month the bird flu, and let's just spend a moment. I acknowledge the distress that that's caused our community, and the CEO and myself have been involved in a number of meetings with the state government, and some councillors did attend here at the Civic Hall that were able to, the community session that they provided some information. Whilst council's not directly involved in this, our community is, and we know it's distressing, and council will work vigilantly and ensure that the state government is doing all that it can to limit the distress to people for the birds that are on our beaches. And we will continue to monitor the situation and make sure that we stay in contact with the state government to ensure that they are doing everything possible for our community. And we'll keep you up to date as we have done. So whilst we've had lots to celebrate, we also have had some distressing news in the last month. So let's all work together on that and make sure that we are getting the best outcomes possible from the state government. Councillors, thank you for all the events that you have attended on behalf of council and the community this last month. And there is a recommendation there on page 10 to accept those. Councillor Carr.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that council notes the councillor activity reports for 1 July 26 to the 31st of July 26.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Pepper has second. Any comments, Councillor Carr?
No further comment.
Thank you, Councillor Pepper. No further comment?
No, thank you.
Thank you. The motion was put by Councillor Carr and second by Councillor Pepper. Those in favour? That is carried. There are no notices of motion this evening, councillors, and we will move on to management reports. 9.1, the CEO has declared a conflict of interest and will leave the chamber. Thank you, CEO, as this is the CEO and Employment and Remuneration Committee report. Councillors, are there any queries in relation to this report? If there's not, there is a recommendation there for a motion on page 13.
Who's going to move that?
Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the motion that Council 1 receives and notes the CEO review self-assessment and independent committee member report. 2, approves the current arrangement of 2 weeks additional purchased leave, 50-52 arrangement for the duration of the current CEO contract. 3, approves a salary increase of 3% effective 29 July 2026 with all current arrangements and contract details remaining in place. 4, seeks from the CEO a focus in 2026-27 on the following identified areas. A, advocacy priorities, approach, applications and outcomes. B, communications, media and engagement approach to manage reputational risks. C, service planning approach, areas of focus and updates. D, financial reporting, including capital works to councillors on a quarterly basis. E, council resolution reporting and actions. And F, customer requests management approach, systems and reporting to councillors.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Angelino. Councillors, comments? Councillor McDonald, do you wish to make a comment?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll just make the comment that we have a very capable independent advisor that works through with us on this assessment of our current CEO, and the CEO's self-assessment is very important in acknowledging how she is working towards those KPIs that are part of her contract, and where we're moving forward with areas that we would like to see a greater focus on for our community. So comfortable with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Angelino.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I also agree with, support the council with the independent the person that reviews with the councillors, the CEO's assessment, and it's a process that it's not annually, but we have meetings and we have a framework to follow, and that's what we will do to support the council, and also we work with the CEO and the advisor of how do we make the best situation going forward for our ratepayers and everyone that works for the council as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further comments from any councillor? Councillor Jowett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In this motion, it mentions quite a few focus areas for our CEO. I just want the public to know that we as councillors will be focusing heavily on these focus areas for our CEO and monitoring her compliance with them quite closely. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jowett. If there's no further comments, councillors, I'll move the motion as read by Councillor McDonald and second by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? Those against? Noted. It's carried. Thank you. Mr. Moy, would you like to get the CEO, please? Is the building moving? Oh, there you go. Building's moving. Okay. Okay, councillors, we're on to 9.2, Emergency Management Update 25-26. Mr. Hull.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report provides an update for councillor information on the 25-26 emergency management processes over the fire danger period. The report highlights the preparation and planning, the coordination with other emergency services on what was predicted to be a tough fire season, as again we're facing in the upcoming period as well. Provided for information, happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hull. Any questions for Mr. Hull in relation to the Emergency Management Update report? Councillor Pepper.
If there's no questions, I'll move the recommendation that council receive the emergency management update from 2025 to 2026.
Thank you, Councillor Pepper. Councillor Pickard is seconding. Councillor Pepper.
No, the report, self-explanatory.
Thank you. Councillor Pickard, did you have any comments?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think like the role of the local government in emergency management, local coordination is really critical. And so these activities to ensure that we're prepared and have the relationships between the different emergency services and the systems in place are really critical for the local emergency response. So I think thank you for that work.
Thank you. That's a question. Are we having an emergency management expo this year, Mr. Hull?
correct, Madam Mayor? So there
Yep.
is an expo getting planned for November later this year. So a subcommittee of the MEMC is actively working through that. Invitations have gone out for key speakers, and it is brought forward by funding provided under the State Government Safer Togethers program.
Together, yeah. So that's a really important, Councillor Pickard, is that our expo, where all of our emergency services come together down here on the foreshore towards the end of the year. So that'll be a great opportunity for the community to come together. You never know, they might get some fire tankers and all sorts of things there. Kids love the fire tankers. Councillor Pepper has moved the motion as tabled on page 16 and second by Councillor Pickard. Those in favour? That is carried. We'll move forward to 9.3, the amendment C115, Dartmoor and Nelson flood study. Mr Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. This report tonight relates to the planning scheme amendment C115 for the Dartmoor and Nelson flood study. The flood study itself and the planning scheme amendment's been through a comprehensive process with council. This has been the third touch point, I believe, now with council in making a decision before earlier authorisation and exhibition of the amendment. Council earlier this year considered these submissions received for the amendment, and those submissions were referred to a planning panel for a review. The planning panel review has been undertaken, and the panel has found that the amendment is strategically sound and has reviewed the merits of the amendment and also considered those issues raised by the submitters in making submissions for the planning scheme amendment itself. The planning scheme amendment seeks to apply planning controls in the Nelson and Dartmoor areas that relate to flood risk from the riverine environment and also as a result of coastal impacts itself. Now, the recommendation tonight is for council to adopt the amendment that's been through the planning panel process and to then submit the amendment for approval by the Minister for Planning to make the changes to the planning scheme to apply the planning controls and updated planning policy. So the recommendations before you, Matt.
Thank you, Mr Moyne. Are there any questions of Mr Moyne? Councillor Pickard.
This is a question more to clarify for the members of the public who are attending or watching this meeting. The process can be a bit confusing for people who are not familiar with it. So what we're proposing tonight is that we make a proposal that the Minister then has to approve. Is that right?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Pickard, the council's led the investigation itself, working in partnership with the CMA, and to subsequently make changes to the planning scheme, we must undertake a planning scheme amendment. So the amendment before you tonight is to adopt the amendment that's been informed by the flood study that makes those changes to the planning scheme, and then the Minister ultimately has the final approval to approve the amendments as proposed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Councillor Jarrett.
Just to clarify, Madam Mayor, if this council was not to adopt this amendment this evening, the Minister can override us and still adopt this amendment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, thank you, Councillor Jowett, for the question. There are different functions in which the Minister and the Department can intervene in relation to an amendment, but Council does have options outlined within the report to adopt the amendment as exhibited, adopt the amendment with changes, or choose not to proceed with the amendment. That's called abandoning an amendment itself. Depending on the decision made by Council tonight, the Minister then can take action if the amendment doesn't go forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Moyne. Any further questions? Councillor Carr.
Madam Mayor, my question relates to the legislated figure for sea level rise. What is that currently with the state government?
Mr Moyne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the current state planning policy framework requires that all councils prepare flood investigations based on a sea level rise figure of not less than 0.8 metres by 2100. That provides the baseline, and then councils have the ability, working in partnership with CMAs and the government departments, around increasing that figure that's been applied in this case. And through the authorisation and exhibition of the amendment, council made a decision to exhibit the amendment based on a 1.2 metre sea level rise figure, in this case, that subsequently influences the flood mapping itself.
Thank you, Mr. White. Councillor Carr.
Madam Mayor, council has an existing planning scheme. I believe the minimum within the existing planning scheme is 0.8 metre sea level rise by 2100. Is that correct?
Mr. Moyne.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, the council must plan for not less than 0.8 metres by 2100.
Thank you, Mr. Moyne.
Thank you.
Councillor Carr, anything further?
Nothing further.
Nothing further. Are there any further questions on this, the Dartmoor and Nelson flood studies, please, councillors? If Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just one more question. I know there's anxiety around landowners thinking that their properties may be reduced in value by such things as a sea level rise, which is in the amendment to 1.2. It was a very technical piece of work recommended by our local catchment management authority, which showed very few properties affected at that level. But can I just confirm that that doesn't automatically stop people from building on their properties?
Again, through you, Madam Mayor, thank you, Councillor McDonald, for the question. The basis of the question is right, that planning controls don't prohibit development. There are different types of planning controls that exist across the Shire. In the case of the land subject to inundation overlay and floodway overlay, that doesn't prohibit development. There may be certain design requirements that need to be met to ensure that development can safely occur in a floodplain, but those controls wouldn't prohibit development directly themselves.
Thank you. Mr. Moyne.
Thank you. Councillors, if there's no further questions, there is a recommendation tabled on page 20 for consideration. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'll move the motion that Council 1 adopts the amendment C115GELG to the Glenelg Planning Scheme in accordance with documents circulated in attachments 1 and 2 pursuant to section 29(1) of the Planning and Environment Act 1987. And 2, proceeds to submit to the Minister for Planning for approval pursuant to section 31(1) of the Planning and Environment Act 1987.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Angelino. Thank you. Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. As I've said, it's a technical piece of work, the flood study, which we've all seen the mapping of, and appears to affect very few properties at this stage. But we all know that global warming is fairly unpredictable, and we don't know how quickly things may change. So I feel as though we're doing the right thing in protecting our local community in terms of helping them understand the potential moving forward.
Thank you. Is there anybody to speak against it? Oh, which one goes first? I don't know that. Councillor Pepper.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, as fellow councillors are aware, all the way through this process I've been against it. I don't see why it had to be 1.2 when the state government is 0.8, and I just feel that I just feel that we're just doing the wrong thing by ratepayers that are affected by this, and I've had my opinion on it all the way through, and I'm still not for it as of tonight.
Councillor Pickard.
I'd just like to remind everyone that sea level rise and flood inundation is fundamentally a technical and scientific matter. It's not just a political matter about what's in legislation or policy. So one way or another we have to deal with what the actual reality is in a technical and scientific assessment, and the state government, the 0.8 was the minimum. So I think we need to be cautious, but really look at the science of it, and that's the basis on which we should be making our decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I think it's pretty clear where I'm heading with this one. I feel we've been too conservative. We're 50% above the legislative figure legislated figure being 0.8 by 2100. Still probably another generation away from the one that I'm currently in. And then the 1.2 may or may not occur in 150 to 180 years' time based on the information that we've got. So 3 or 4 generations away. I feel that we're just pulling the trigger too early on this one in relation to the overlays that we're applying to those parcels of land.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Okay, any other comments? Councillor Angelino, did you want to add any comment?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. As we, it is a very hard decision to actually just think about what's going to be in the future, but I think it's better to err on the situation now than rather have a lot of properties that could be built, maybe not built, could be changed. That we need to. It'd be better now to not have that situation develop for future generations. So that's why I decided to second the motion. Thanks, Madam.
Thank you. Councillors, I'll put the motion that was moved by Councillor McDonald and seconded by Councillor Angelino. The councillor adopts the amendment and submits to the Planning Minister for approval. Those in favour? Those against? It is noted, it is carried. 4-3.
Division.
Sorry?
Call for a division.
You want a division? It's fine. Those for, please rise. Thank you. Those against? That is noted. Thank you, councillors. Councillors, we'll move on to 9.4, the Victorian Fisheries Authority and the Glenelg Shire Memorandum of Authorised Agreements for Hooked on Portland 2027. Who's doing this one? David. Mr. Holt.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this report provides an update of the future of delivery of Hooked on Portland, following a review of the 2026 festival and discussions with the Victorian Fisheries Authority about a more sustainable approach for 2027. We recognise that Hooked On is an important community and tourism event that celebrates Portland's fishing heritage, local seafood and waterfront. While the festival has grown over recent years, particularly with the introduction of major musical acts, this has also significantly increased the cost of delivering the event and placing ongoing pressure on Council's budget and resource. In 2026, the event attracted an estimated 5,000 to 6,000 people and more than 60 fishing competition participants. The cost just over 132,000, with Council contributing 87,500. Attendance was also affected by the competing event in Warrnambool, which is scheduled to occur again on the same weekend in 2027. Following the review, Council has worked with the VFA as a major sponsor of the event to develop a different model for 2027. This proposed MOA would see the VFA take the lead in the planning and delivery of the event, with Council remaining as a co-host and continue to provide financial and operational and promotional support. The event is proposed to be held on Saturday the 23rd of January 2027 as a streamlined single-day festival with a stronger focus on fishing, seafood, local entertainment and Portland's waterfront. This approach is intended to retain the community and tourism benefits of the event while better aligning with its delivery as Council's financial and resourcing capability. The Council budget for 2027 is $45,000 and this represents a significant shift from the level of financial and operational commitment provided for previous events. Overall, this partnership provides an opportunity to continue an event that is valued by the community and contributes to tourism while reducing the financial and operational burden on Council. And it also refocuses Hooked on Portland on the things that make the event and Portland distinctive, being fishing, seafood, local experiences and the waterfront.
Thank you, Mr. Holt. Any questions in relation to this item? Councillor Jarrett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In the background for this, it states that the budget for the last financial year was $45,000, but Council's contribution was actually $87,000. Could I get some commentary about where the blowout happened in that regard?
The reality.
Because we budgeted
Not
for
the
45,
vote,
we
the
actually
reality.
spent 87, so how did that happen?
Councillor Jarrett, that's the reality, that events cost a lot of money to run.
Um,
Mr Hall?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Jowett, yes, so the intent was to have an operational budget at 45. In the realistic event, when trying to develop event, things like the road closure was about best part of 10,000. The hiring of the stage and the associated requirements basically were up all the budget before you even had musical acts. So in hindsight, the budget of $45,000 was unrealistic. There was also some confusion about the contribution of the income versus the expenditure, which exacerbated the issue.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Carr?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, each year we get data in relation to visitation over the summer period, and we get data from pretty much Christmas, New Year's, right through to the end of January, specifically for Portland. And from what I've observed, Madam Mayor, is when we hold events in Portland, our visitation numbers obviously improve and increase during that period. And I'm glad that we've been able to pivot. You know, the event popping up in Warrnambool on the same weekend as on Portland, and us being able to pivot and move it to an alternative weekend. You know, the idea being that we still get the visitation, we provide something for our ratepayer community to attend and do over that period, whilst having that economic contribution to the probably Portland more than anywhere else, to be honest. But I sure hope that we, if we go with this, that we continue to monitor that period and reassess to make sure that this is the right decision for Portland's tourist season, I'll call it, from an economic and, you know, supporting our small business and our accommodation providers and everyone else over that peak period where they make their most revenue that gets them through to the next tourist season.
I agree, it's a focus, isn't it? It's focusing on what's important at that week.
Yeah, we've been able to pivot.
Yeah.
Just, I still think, I'm still wary though, we need to monitor that it's, you know, that it's a success. What success looks like, I'm not sure until after we review the numbers.
True. It's always good to review. Any further comments, councillors? Councillor McDonald.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I'm looking forward to seeing how many little ones come out into the fishing competition, considering all grade 5s, they were all given a rod.
Free fishing
free
rod.
fishing rod. All grade 5s were giving a free fishing rod by the state government.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and I saw 2 little girls walking down the road the other day on the weekend with them hooked over their shoulders and their shorts on, and I thought, it's only 12 degrees out there, girls, but they were headed to the harbour. So
off they go.
I'm looking forward to those numbers. And I also, apart from the local businesses and other local aspects of what it brings to the town, I'm also looking forward to the concept of it supporting local entertainers. We have a lot of talent in this town, and the chance to be on a big stage is, you know, few and far between for a lot of them. So it'd be lovely to see the local talent given more of an opportunity rather than that money going towards one big act that's a 40-minute gig. So I'm all for it. Yeah.
Sounds good. Councillors, there is a recommendation there on page 23. Is somebody prepared to move, please? Councillor Angelino.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move the recommendation that one, council endorses the memorandum of agreement hooked on Portland 2027 between Glenelg Shire Council and the Victorian Fisheries Authority. 2, authorises the CEO to enter into this agreement on behalf of the council and make any minor operational alterations as required.
Thank you. Councillor Jowett, you're seconding?
I'd like to second that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Angelino, any comments?
Just that, yes, Madam Mayor, that will be hopefully a great day and weekend, and we'll have lots of fish down at Fish Court, and it's just a great day for people and for families to come down and enjoy our environment down there.
Sounds good. Councillor Jowett?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I also have high hopes for where this event can go in 2027. I am disappointed that the event has been forced to be scaled back for financial reasons, because it was, as it's been stated, it was unsustainable. We just couldn't keep spending that kind of money every year for this event. I'm hopeful that in future council may be able to look at other revenue streams to maybe bring it back, but for now I'm happy to second this motion to bring this event to Portland again next year, and that this council is trying to be more financially constrained to bring our budget back into a better place. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jarl. Any other comments, councillors? If not, I'll put the motion, which was moved by Councillor Angelino and second by Councillor Jowett. Those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. I will move on to 9.5, which is Rural Councils Victoria investing in rural Victoria, the state election advocacy campaign. And I'll ask our CEO to make some comment on this, as she's a board member. Thank you,
Madam Mayor.
CEO.
So the report this evening is from Rural Councils Victoria about their advocacy platform. So ahead of November state election, Rural Councils Victoria is seeking a strong and coordinated voice from rural councils on the investment needed to support our communities. The campaign is non-partisan and focused on highlighting the important contribution rural and regional communities make to Victoria, while advocating for greater investment to address the challenges facing these communities. A key part of the campaign is a proposal for a dedicated $1 billion Rural and Regional Victoria Productivity and Growth Fund, which really closely aligns with both the South West Vic Alliance request for funding, but also our very own advocacy statements. The fund would support priorities including local infrastructure, housing, economic development, council sustainability and community resilience. RCV is asking member councils to support these priorities and encourage all members of Parliament and candidates, regardless of their political party, to publicly support the platform and commit to actions following the election. RCV has provided a campaign toolkit, signage, digital media, all the collateral that might be needed. Council can determine how extensively it participates locally, with any cost to councils determined by the extent and location of campaign material. This report and the recommendations are presented to Council this evening for your consideration.
Thank you, CEO. Councillors, any questions in relation to this? Councillor Carr.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, you'll probably know this one. How many rural councils are there?
Oh.
And the next part of it will be $1 billion. What would that look like for a council like ours?
Okay, so there's 79 councils across Victoria. 40 of them would be rural.
40 rural, divided by $1 billion.
Sorry?
So we'll get 1/40th of that $1 billion, hopefully. Okay. Sounds good.
I think it's fair to say that the CEO and myself, the CEO's on Rural Councils Victoria, the South West Alliance, and then, of course, don't forget there's also Regional Cities Victoria, but we've all worked very closely in alignment to ask for the same types of things. So, from local government across Victoria, the ask is very similar, same type of advocacy. So, as the CEO said, this advocacy is not much different than our own advocacy document that we produced around roads, our infrastructure assets. That $1 billion, Councillor Carr, is basically giving us funds to choose the infrastructure project that we want. So, they're very similar in their scope of what it is, but not determining exactly what that is. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Councillor Carr.
There was a mention here of signage, community signage.
Yeah, the signage, yep.
Yeah, so what's the thought process about that? Where would it be? What would it look like?
Yep, do you want to go?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Carr, for the question. So signage we can place wherever we see fit, but it makes a lot of sense from the perspective of our own advocacy that the signage that we place to ask the state to fund something would be where we're also advocating for our community facilities under our own advocacy documentation. So that would be around a recreation and community facility, so probably outside the basketball facility that we currently have in the Shire, the Hayward Rec Reserve and the changing facilities, and the last one from a community facility perspective is the Casterton and Branksholme Rail Trail. So signage in those locations, from my perspective, would make the most sense to double the advocacy that happens on those sites.
Yeah, thanks, CEO. Does that answer that question, Councillor Carr?
Yeah, you mentioned the basketball stadium. Yeah, it answered it quite well. Round ball facility, Madam
The round ball facility.
Yeah,
So that will be, yeah, so picking our own advocacy projects and picking up on what we're wanting, which would fit into that infrastructure budget. Councillors, any other questions? If there's not, there's a recommendation there, please. Councillor Pickard.
I move that Council notes Rural Councils Victoria's strong advocacy for rural communities and endorses participating in the RCV campaign and incurring the indicated expense, acknowledges the critical role rural communities play in supporting Victoria's economy, including through agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, freight, energy production and regional employment, recognises the significant infrastructure, housing, financial and emergency management challenges currently facing rural councils and communities, endorses the key advocacy priorities in Rural Councils Victoria 2026 election platform, including increased investment in rural and regional roads, expanded support for local infrastructure and community facilities, additional investment in housing enabling infrastructure, greater support for emergency preparedness and resilience, measures to improve long-term council stability and financial capacity, increased support for regional economic development, and supports calls for the establishment of a dedicated $1 billion Rural and Regional Victoria Productivity and Growth Fund as detailed in the Rural Councils Victoria election platform, and urges all MPs and political candidates to publicly support the RCV platform and act on its recommendations after the election.
Thank you, Councillor Pickard. Councillor Carr, are you seconding?
Happy to second, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Pickard, did you want to make comment on that?
Oh no, I think we've had a pretty good discussion about this. It's fairly self-explanatory. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Carr, did you want to...
Look, Madam Mayor, you don't ask, you don't get. Rural councils have been neglected for far too long on all those items that we're endorsing tonight. We provide a massive economic contribution to the state of Victoria, and it's time that the state government, whichever state government it is, puts these funds aside and reinvests back into rural councils so that they can continue to provide that economic contribution back to the state.
Thank you. Any further comments, councillors? I think that's a really good point that you bring up, Councillor Carr, around, you know, the weight that Victorian Council, rural councils in particular, carry. And I'll just bring you to our own advocacy. And on the back, we've actually highlighted exactly that. Our annual economic output is $4.2 billion. And our gross regional product is $1.7 billion. They are really significant figures. We could go on and on, but they are significant figures, and I agree, Councillor Carr. You know, the Parliament needs to start understanding what the significance is of what we produce and what our outputs are. Councillors, there's no further comment. The motion has been put by Councillor Pickard and seconded by Councillor Carr. Those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that forward, Madam CEO. Councillors, we will move on to 9.6, which is the South West Victoria Alliance Parliament House Delegation. Do you want to talk to that?
I can, Madam Mayor.
Talk to it.
Very briefly then. So this is just a report to share that the Mayor and myself visited Parliament House together with fellow CEOs and mayors from South West Victoria Alliance. We went on the 13th of August, so very recent after the reshuffle took place, which afforded us a really wonderful opportunity to... We met with people from both sides of the House, but that we were getting them right at the start of their new tenure in positions, including the Treasurer. So we got to, I think we may have been one of the first groups to get in front of them in their new portfolio, so we're able to share very specifically examples from this region of where they could make a really big impact in the election. The list of the members that we met are there. There was only a few apologies on the day, which was absolutely wonderful. And actually, I think the event worked really well. There was a lot of engagement. Those that could only pop in for 15 minutes, for example, happily stayed for 45. There was no void in the conversation, but perhaps the Mayor has more to add to what happened at the event.
Thank you, CEO. We went with a really, structured election platform in our advocacy for the 5 councils across the southwest, and that was really around building stronger foundations for the southwest and around that $1 billion infrastructure fund that we could all pull on for our own projects. We all have ageing swimming pools, we know that. It's not something that's unique to Glenelg. Every council across rural Victoria has ageing pools that were all built in the 1960s as the government gave out heaps of funding at that time. We know that our roading infrastructure is in a deplorable state. We know what we're putting out there as a region, but we know each of the councils know what they need. We know to ensure that we're creating jobs and resilient communities, that also depends on us having good childcare facilities, and we're not alone in that. We need to really push for greater support around childcare and on unlocking housing and land for affordable housing as well. In making the region a place to stay and thrive is around our tourism and building on what we already have, and that's around health and wellbeing and upgrading our facilities. Of course, we also want good connections via public transport and whether that's train services or bus services, or whether it's any of our arterial roads that need upgrades. So certainly a great opportunity to go and advocate on behalf of our community to the ministers. We were able to meet with the new Treasurer and also with the new Roads Minister. So he was actually very aware of the region, having worked with the Department of Transport and Planning in a previous life. We also met with the Minister for Rural and Regional Development, and as the CEO said, they might have had 15 minutes, but they ended up staying for half an hour, 40 minutes to discuss our thoughts on where we needed to go for the future. So, councillors, happy to answer any questions, but we just thought it was a really valuable opportunity to bring that to council's meeting tonight. Councillor Pepper.
Madam Mayor, look, well done.
Thank you.
But, like, you two are very intelligent ladies. Did they...
Thanks, Councillor Pepper.
I
feel like there's a but here.
Well, was it the general upcoming election spiel, or did you really feel that you got somewhere with them?
We didn't come away with a cheque.
No.
From the Treasurer or from the Roads Minister, but we got the... I think that it was really... we got listened to. They certainly were encouraging that even though they were new to their portfolios, I think the proof will be, Councillor Pepper, to see what comes out of the election commitments coming forward. Obviously, we've invited the ministers down to visit us as well, which is either unrealistic or realistic, but obviously giving that option to them to come and visit us. I think at the end of the day, let's wait and see what comes out of their election commitments.
Thank you.
We've given it our best shot,
yep.
Councillor
That's
Pepper.
That's all you can ask.
Yes. Councillor Pickard.
Yes, I'm interested that you mentioned the ministers a number of times, but in your list you also met with members of the opposition.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm interested in what kind of response you had from the other side of the Parliament, given that we don't know what the outcome of the election will be. And just to also add that I think that these kinds of trips is really important. You don't really expect to come away with a cheque just yet.
No.
It's really important for laying groundwork for future relationships and getting our advocacy pieces out there, so thank you. But yeah, the question about the...
Yeah, just making sure that they know where we are
Yeah.
and reminding them where we are and how important we are to the broader economy of Victoria. Councillor Pickard, I suppose we just sort of mentioned the ministers because they're all new ministers. We certainly did meet with our own members, being, you know, Roma Britnell and Bev MacArthur and Jacinta Amakora. So I suppose you're preaching to the converted then, because they already know where Glenelg is. But there was that opportunity to the new ministers to ensure that they knew that we existed, and certainly in whether the CEO or myself were leading those particular discussions, in those particular parts of the meeting, we were able to actually emphasise what Glenelg's needs were. So that was really important as well. But yes, we did meet with some of the current opposition parties, or Jacinta Amakora, who's our current rep of the Labor Party. So yeah, so it was a really big day.
Yep.
It was a full-on day, going from one to the next. But we believe it was really worthwhile. Yeah, thank you. Are there any further questions, councillors? No, Councillor Carr.
Madam Mayor, the South West Vic Alliance, have they got a website with the advocacy document available for the community?
I'm sure they have. I'm sure if you went there, Councillor Carr, it would be there for you.
Oh, that's good. You know, making sure the community, if they wanted to see what the advocacy document was, that they could get access to it.
I think that we also posted some socials on that as well, and is it on council's website? No?
Through the Mayor, I don't think it's on our website at the moment, but their website is victoriaalliance.com.au. And my intention is to add their platform as a minute to this meeting, so it will also be attached.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Shower.
I'd just pick you on something you said there, Madam Mayor, about meeting with Jacinta Amakora.
Sorry?
Just picking up on something you said about meeting with Jacinta Amakora.
Yep.
It's not listed in the ministers and people that you met with, so just wondering if that was going to be altered in the minutes for later on.
So through the Mayor, we didn't have a specific meeting with Jacinta Amakora. She accompanied other ministers from the Labour Party as part of the delegation that came into the meeting. There was more than one person came with most of the specific ministers or opposition members that we met with.
That'll explain it.
So we were there on the invitation of Jacinta.
Yep.
And she organised the visit to Parliament, so she's involved in all of those meetings with the Labor Party.
Perfect.
Did anybody else have anything? Oh,
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I just want to make the comment that I think it's really important that they see a delegation from a region working strongly together, not just as individual councils pitting themselves against each other. I think it's a really, really powerful statement for a region that's that far from the main city. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was absolutely our intention. Thank you. Councillor Carr?
Happy to move it.
Happy to move. What are you moving?
The recommendation, Madam Mayor.
And it said?
That Council notes Mayor Stevens and CEO Helen Havercroft attendance at the South West Victorian Alliance visit to Parliament House in Melbourne on Thursday, the 13th of August 2026.
Thank you, Councillor Carr. Councillor Angelino?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Carr, is there any need for anything further?
I've got plenty to say about it.
That's fine. Thank you.
Look, firstly, thank you to yourself, Madam Mayor, and the CEO for going down Parliament. It's important that we as a council spend as much time as we can in front of those key decision makers. Formulas for how funds are distributed don't always work. And we see that in relation to some of the infrastructure and the condition of the roads, particularly within Glenelg and our neighbouring councils. It's also just as important to have it on tonight's agenda so that the community can see that this advocacy and these efforts take place. Because these conversations today, whilst you said you didn't come home with a cheque, we may get a cheque 1 year, 2 years or 5 years' time as a result of the conversations that took place. I was also pretty excited to see in the advocacy document that you've listed for Portland the multi-purpose round ball facility.
What was it?
The multi-purpose round ball facility.
What? What was that? I didn't hear. Where was that?
Yeah, it's there. It's there. One of the key things for our residents is the condition of the Henty and Princess Highway. It's number 1 and 2. The community needs to understand it. It is 1 and 2 in the list of roads that the state government needs to fix. So that's Portland to Hayward, Hayward to Dartmoor, Portland to Warrnambool. It's there. And there's another, sub-arterial roads under that. So, yeah, I've got nothing further to add other than for people that are interested in what all the three councils are advocating for, to jump on the website and take a look.
Thank you.
I look forward to the funds coming through from the state government.
We certainly do. Let's hope. We've given it our best shot. And look, it doesn't stop here, Councillor Carr, councillors. It's the start. And, look, I think it's just absolutely refreshing that Rural Councils Victoria, the South West Vic Alliance, which we're members of, the 5 councils, and this council are all aligned with their advocacy. We're all saying the same things about what we want. So the government, and those politicians in Melbourne cannot be confused about what we want. So, and as Councillor McDonald said, we end up speaking with one loud voice. So, let's just see, let's hope that, and it's up to every one of us to be out there advocating for our community and our projects. And as you say, Councillor Carr, roads are the biggest issue we have. But it is about also getting that funding for key community infrastructure projects to make sure that we're in the 21st century, not in the 20th century. Yep. All right, it's been moved. The motion was put by Councillor Carr and seconded by Councillor Angelino. Those in favour? That is carried. Thank you, councillors. Now, Madam CEO, we'll get to... There's no urgent business. What's that?
No, it's all right. I'm probably getting shot down on procedure, but I was wondering whether we should be writing to the relevant minister seeking as much support as possible for our community in relation to the bird flu. You're probably going to block
Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Well, I will add, councillors, that on the back of our visits to Parliament House, the CEO and myself are signing off on letters, or have signed off on letters, to each of the members that we met, reinforcing the appropriate points for Glenelg, thanking them for meeting with us, and then reinforcing those appropriate points. And both the CEO and myself are signing off on those. We can share those with our councillors if you wish. Thank you for bringing that up, Councillor Carr. Yes, we have, as we always do, thank everybody every time we meet somebody, just to get another opportunity to have a say. You know that we like to have a say. Urgent business? There is no urgent business, so we're going to move into questions taken on... Oh, there's no questions taken on notice from the previous meeting? No. Questions from members of the community for tonight? Now, Madam CEO, we've got our homework here. Feels like we've got our homework. You go.
Okay, I'm going to read the questions. David Headlam of Lake Mundy asked the following questions this evening. I wish to resubmit the question that was asked in April 2026 in relation to Australia Day celebrations. That question was, council activity reports for January, given at the February council meeting, were very scant with one exception, and the Mayor did not even mention that she attended the Nelson Australia Day celebrations along with nearly 200 others in this tiny township. This demonstrates how proud Australian citizens are of their country. Why does council keep such a low profile on this event to the extent of not even flying the Australian flag?
Thank you, Madam CEO. Yes, Mr Headlam did ask this question at the April council meeting, and the Nelson Australia Day was put into my activity report, and I apologise if you wanted me to mention that specifically. It was a great celebration, and I love the Nelson community, and I love the fact that they come together, and I know that they appreciate council's funding for their Australia Day event. And councillors, as you know, Australia Day is a public holiday, and for many years now we haven't flown the flags on Australia Day as our offices are closed.
The Portland Aerodrome. At the April meeting, I asked a question about the restricted use of the Portland Aerodrome in the summer months and what problems had been encountered. The answer was given that it has always been available for use. However, a fixed-wing air ambulance was disabled and the mission had to be completed by a helicopter. Can you please enlighten me and other ratepayers what the issue is, and are we, the ratepayers, expected to pick up the tab to repair the aerodrome, or will the contractors repair a job incorrectly done at his or her cost?
Thank you, CEO. In response, during summer, sections of the pavement at the Portland Airport experienced pavement bleeding, with temporary closure required to protect the surface. Importantly, access for emergency services, including the air ambulance and fire response aircraft, was maintained during these periods. We are still undertaking an assessment to determine the cause of the airport pavement issues. There is no ability for council to claim any further defects for previous works undertaken by the contractors for airport resurfacing. The annual budget supports essential services, staffing, facilities and infrastructure maintenance, technical inspections, compliance audits and asset renewal, and includes $70,000 to undertake additional works. We are seeking further funding from the Australia Government to support this.
Number 3, road repairs. I believe the Shire is supposed to collect reinstatement financially for damage done to Shire roads by trucks freighting forest harvest on Shire roads. Would you please advise if this is still in place and the reimbursement, if any, over each of the last 5 years?
Thank you, CEO. Mr Hallam, I can respond that Council has a process in place to manage timber harvest, both in accordance with the Code of Practice for Timber Plantations and under our planning scheme requirements. This includes a review of harvest plans and route assessment and inspections. This process continues, and Council has the ability to require road restoration at the company's cost. Following the commencement of harvest operations, Council does not take any direct payment from a harvest operator or manager. Thank you. Thank you for those. That's it for tonight's meeting, councillors. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for the gallery. And I'll close the meeting. Thank you very much.